Samrat here. Today, I'd be presenting the Telstra story to offer integration platform as a service and platform as a product, along with my colleague Sreeni Thimmareddy. I will quickly go through the agendas that we will be covering today. So we'll go through a quick background of where this all started, where we all started this, and then introduce you to the platform that we are talking about, MaaS, and give a quick introduction how it is lining up with our strategy, and then talk about the operating models. And in the next couple of slides, we'll run you through the little details of this platform as a service of integration offering and the platform as a product, what multi-tenancy and self-service and autonomy means for this particular product, and how we are helping our internal consumers for this. And at the end, we will wrap it up with the challenges, learning, and evolution opportunities. So without much ado, I'll go to the next slide and start talking about the backgrounds first. So when we started back in 2020, so there were, of course, a lot of problems around, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. Because in any enterprise-grade organization, these are pretty much common, like lack of common reusable technology blueprint, ownership of those technical stuff that we are building, and which actually leads to the high operational and maintenance cost and increase in tech debts. So after all of this, and it's all related to the integration work that we do, which is very important. Then at that time, we as an organization, we came up with we first did a review and assessment of our current strategy at that time, and then came up with a evolution strategy of how we can offer these integration services to our internal consumers in a better and efficient way. To be able to do that, we came up with some blueprints and principles based on which we would be looking to build this platform. So to start with, it has to be reusable, of course, and then platform as a product. And a lot of you already know what platform as a product is, which is basically you are building up integration platform as a product offering to your internal consumers, which should be reusable and shared, which should be enabling your internal consumers to do the integration operations and get some efficiencies out of it. And the third one is, of course, it has to be cloud native and multi-tenant. So it actually relates back to the reusability part. It has to be multi-tenant, which would be like where we can, take that efficiency of economy of scale and build one particular platform which is shared across multiple tenancies internally. And the fourth one is, of course, self-service and autonomy. Offer as much as possible self-service to our internal consumers and give them the autonomy to run the lifecycle management by themselves, which actually leads to our next point, which is a secured and faster time to market. So you do not have to wait for a long time to put your products into the market for your end user customers. So these are the primary 5 areas based on this blueprint, the platform was built. And now let's talk about the platform itself, which is Mashup API as a service. What is this? So the Mashup API as a service is that integration platform as a service which we are offering as a product. And based on this cycle of, we call it as strategy, execution, and continuous improvement cycle based on which the whole platform has been built. So it is a cloud native, reusable, shared, and multi-tenant strategic platform for Telstra for our internal consumer entities. And it is liable to provide all the integration services, including the payload aggregation, protocol translation, switching, mashup, asynchronous message processing, or even any kind of integration services to your database services and the traffic segregation as well. And all of this through North Star developer experience, dynamic developer experience, which drives automation, self-service, and multi-tenancy and autonomy, which end up in a result of faster time to market. So if you look at this cycle, it actually links back to our on the previous slide, we discussed about a bit of the common blueprint. So this cycle looks back to with our links back to with our that cycle, that the blueprints that we have managed and that we have maintained, and which actually talks about starting with strategy, which should be offering a service catalog based offering. So which is like all the different offers that we have mentioned: payload aggregation, protocol translation, etc. And it should be a platform as a product for our internal consumers. It would be provided as a service kind of a model. That's our strategy part. And the execution is, of course, it needs to be cloud native and secured so that you have the resilient and secure platform for your internal consumers, which would be enabling your faster time to market. And it has to provide that ITIL-based service management. And in terms of the continuous improvement, it will always provide that self-service and autonomy and the North Star DevOps practices, which we will talk about it in detail later. So this is pretty much the introduction of Mashup API as a service. Now I'll go to the next slide, and I'll talk about the key operation model principle based on which this platform runs, right? So we have a shared accountability model where we have two primary actors here. One is the service owner and as a platform owner. So when we run it as a platform as a service model, you have two primary owners. One is service owner, who owns the services which has been deployed or created or built on top of this shared platform, and the platform owner, who manages the infrastructure and the platform component and provides that multi-tenancy and shared services to the service owners and their teams, right? So this is kind of that shared accountability model. We have got that guidance and support from our technology strategy and architecture team in Telstra as well. So it's aligned with that reference architecture model. And what it says is basically that platform owner, the actor, would be taking the ownership of the end-to-end platform and would be accountable and responsible to manage the security, resiliency of that platform, and also will take care of any kind of licensing, any kind of cloud infrastructure, any kind of support, 24/7 support, or any training or design consultation to the service owner and his team or her team, right? And on the other side of the coin, as part this model, the service owner would be taking the end-to-end ownership and responsibility of their services that they're building, and the lifecycle management of that as well, and the security of that too. The service owner would be responsible and accountable for the go-to-market plan, what they would be delivering for Telstra, and any management and maintenance of those service design and development team. So that's pretty much, it's a collaborative joint model between the service owner and the product owners, and that's how this platform operates, following that loop framework, which is learn, onboard, and operate. Now, with that, let's go to the more interesting stuff, how this platform works. When we say that integration platform as a service, let's talk about what are the different flavors it has, right? It has got two flavors: integration as a product and integration as a code. And I'll invite my colleague Sreeni to talk about more about this in the next couple of slides. Over to you, Sreeni.
Thanks, Samrat, for the nice intro and the reasons behind why we have developed this MaaS platform. Hi, everyone. I work with Samrat on this mission, and Samrat was mentioning we are giving two development flavors per se, the way the tenants can develop the integration solutions. Yeah, so there are a couple of reasons for that. One is considering the heterogeneous mix of developers and use cases we have. There are some teams where the use case is very simple, like a simple transformation, but the teams are not capable of having a development experience per se. So teams like those we have offered, micro integrated as a product, or you can say as a config, just a drag and drop config based development. Then the other flavor we are given is for where there is a developers which having a pure DevOps or developer experience, and also they have a complex use cases where they can extend the development to a more complex or complicated integration scenarios. They can use the other flavor which we are offering as a ballerina, and it can be integration as a code. But underneath the principle is what Samrat was mentioning, the way we build a platform is we need to have cloud native, multi-tenant, types of flavors are still intact, and the platform is built on AWS, and it's got pre-built CI/CD pipelines, metrics, dashboards, and more importantly, self-serving portal, which I will explain in the next slide. But other second reason why we have done as an offering is we are more or less going for we don't want to have a product affinity to the platform. Typically in the case, we build a platform which is affinity to a one product which is tightly coupled. In future, we want to move away, we can't. That's where we have two flavors, and the good thing is without disturbing the ecosystem of the platform how it has been built, we can bring on any other product into the mix. That's where we'll be something like we'll be up to date or up to market, how the market goes with this API or integration development. We should be able to adapt to new platforms without too much disturbing to the platform or the tenants, how they are going to use our platform. Yeah, that's the key thing. Yeah. Next slide, please, Samrat. Yeah, this is more like how the platform is built. Somewhat busy slide, but I will go through from the left to right. And if you see, we have a couple of planes. People with the more DevSecOps background, they can understand. So we have a tenant plane and we have a platform plane. Yeah? So the tenant plane is the one where actual tenants develop their solution either using as a code or a config, which I have told you the two flavors we have. And more importantly, they can have something like a deployment deployment YAML file where they can give some of the flavors they want to choose, which flavor they will use as a runtime. Plus, they also can specify their environment variables and other stuff, which is very specific to that environment. Yeah. So once they do and checks in the code into the Git repo. That's where the tenant CI triggers in. The tenant CI also, we already have a pre-built pipelines, which tenants can just clone and use it. If they don't have a much DevOps experience, that's fine. They can just reuse our pre-built pipeline, just to make a clone of it and start using it with their specific environment things. So once they trigger the tenant CI, that's where it will do the build and configure it as convert it as a zip file and put into the repository. Post that, tenant can trigger a build. Okay, deploy. That's where the platform plane come into effect. If you see in the platform plane, in the bottom we have the platform management services. That's where we have most of the API-driven development we already built in and ready to use by the tenants. So especially the release management, which is take care of the deployments, that will pull the image from the pull the artifacts from the Git repo where the tenants has put into, and then it will use the flavor which is the tenant is requesting for, either a micro integrator or ballerina, and at the end of the day, it just creates the image suitable for the runtime and push into Harbor. Okay. Once the image being pushed into the Harbor, then again the release release management service will kicks in the Argo CD GitHubs types of deployment. And the image gets scanned using the GitSecOps, like any security scan you do. And ideally, it will deploy into a Kubernetes container. Okay, that's where you can see on the right-hand side, it is a tenant-specific, service-specific. So one tenant can have multiple Kubernetes clusters. And if you see on the rightmost side, I put in a few bullet points for the platform. Typical, high availability, isolation, those things are readily available and provided by the platform. Okay. Now in the bottom, if you see the two ones, one is a self-service portal. I think Samrat touched on briefly on that. So this is a tenant service portal. That's where we want to do a self-serve. That is one of the key principles. It is autonomy. Tenants can manage their services, either through deployment, or they can manage the secrets, which is an environment specific, like user ID, passwords, which is then the platform is underneath. It is integrated with the AWS Secrets Manager. Okay. So they can roll back the deployment. They can check the status of their services and check the status of the deployment. So yeah, this is the self-service portal. Yeah, this is very key artifact we produce it so that self-autonomy for the tenants can be fulfilled. Okay. Then the most important, the last but the most important one is the monitoring dashboard. This is the key thing for the ops. So once we deploy the service, how your service is performing. So we already integrated pre-built integration with the New Relics. All our platform metrics are fed into the New Relic, and it will provide a dashboard view for the tenants to look at their service health and act upon if it is anything going wrong. Yeah. So I believe this gives you a good idea about how it's been platform been built and how it is being managed, and how it is more importantly self-sufficient for the tenants to manage the services on their own without much platform interaction. So with that, I will pass on to Samrat, who will provide more on the challenges and the opportunities we faced. Thanks, Samrat.
Thank you, Sreeni. Thanks for the wonderful presentation and walking the audience through the details of our platform as a product and how it has been built. Now, the most fun part. What are the challenges that we have faced, and what learning we have got, and what are the evolution opportunities that we see in future for this platform, right? So what we are going to be discussing here is in a 3-steps approach, right? What are the cultural and process challenges that we have faced, and the technical challenges, and of course the commercial challenges, and how we have overcome that. What are the things that we have done, and the opportunities that we see for this particular platform. I'd start probably with the cultural and process challenges. This is an interesting one, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, being a part of a big enterprise and different teams working in their own silos and delivering stuff for their own purpose. And it's very hard to bring everyone in sync in terms of the cultural and processes that's changing every now and then in this industry, right? Now, the first problem that we have faced was when we start building this product, this platform, in a platform as a product or as a service model. So, of course, historically, it was not very common inside Telstra to offer such platform as a service where you are the owner of the platform and offering those tools and enablers to build those services, and someone else, the consumers internally, would be coming onto your platform, getting onboarded, and reuse those tools and enablers to build their services, and then lifecycle manage those day in and day out basis post-production, right? So it took us a lot of time to get that understanding clear and get in sync with people internally as well, that what a true platform as a service and a true platform as product means, right? And I'd like to call out our technology strategy and architecture team, who actually supported and built a reference architecture model around that and supported continuously that this is what good looks like, and this is how the North Star should look like when it comes to an integration platform as a service. And what we did was, with the support that we have got from them, we continuously had road shows, different collaboration workshops and sessions to let them know that yes, you are going to be able to build the services, but we are continuously giving you the support that is required from you. So what we are taking away from you is your headache in terms of managing the platform and the infrastructure and the operations part. You just concentrate on your business use case and build on top of that. We will continue to give you the support in terms of cloud infra, in terms of tools and enablers that you need that is fit for purpose for your requirement. So that's what goes the cultural and process challenges. Next, go to the technical challenge. I think Sreeni has touched upon on this a bit in terms of different types of developers and DevOps engineer communities across the board in Telstra. And they have favors, like some loves low code, no code. Some loves config based, some loved code, right? So when we started this, we only had one flavor, which is like config based. And a lot of developers actually push that idea back, saying that why can't we code? It takes away the that control from us. So with time, we understood that we need to give that proper developer experience, because this platform, the main consumers of this platform is the developers, and of course the product owners and the product managers who will be offering the services externally or internally, right? So with time, we understood that we need to, and that's where this, we try to get as much as affinity out of the way for a particular product or a particular technology or a particular solution, and bring thought leadership or a technical thought leadership rather into this platform. And that's where we brought in the second flavor, which is as a code approach, where developers who loves to code can get their hands dirty and do the stuff they want. So that was the technical challenge we overcome. Last but not the least, of course, the commercial side of things. It's all about the money, right? So we started with, we thought that we will start with a process that where we'll be charging back few things to our internal consumers. But that actually pushed back a little bit, and we got some pushback from our internal consumers, because internal consumers, their requirement could be small, medium, large, Excel, or something like that, right? So if someone is a small requirement, they may not, be ready to spend that much of money that would be required to run this, stuff on their own. So we worked with our vendors, we worked with our internal, our procurements and internal stuffs, and then came up with reanalyze the whole contract part and come up with a new offering or the new understanding in terms of the chargeback model, where the platform as a product, this particular platform would be taking the whole and sole responsibility of the cost part, infrastructure cost, and the licensing or anything required related to that. The business users or the service owners would only be responsible for managing their own part, which is the service development on top of this particular platform. That takes away a lot of, headache or overhead from them. They do not have to think about the money side of it or the commercial side of it. As a platform, we manage that. That actually takes us to taking us to a lot of opportunities in the future that I can see at this moment, that we have got a lot of traction in terms of small, medium, large, and Excel use cases that are coming in, because they do not have to think about the technical challenges, not the commercial part as well, and the cultural processes also brought into this particular mix. So we can clearly see that, for an example, like suppose if someone needs to do something in terms of the gateway function, they do not have to think about how the non-gateway function would be built. We can do that. Non-gateway function means I'm talking about all the integration stuff and the aggregation stuff that this particular platform can take it up. And we can clearly see a lot of traction at this moment and in future as well, in this quarter and the next financial year as well, that a lot of internal tenants are getting interested to get on to this particular platform and use these tools and enablers for future. That's where our presentation was. I'd like to take any questions that you may have, and we can take about that. Thank you so much for the opportunity.